No.
Sure.
I'm now called to order the Green County Board of Education special call meeting on August 22nd, 2024 at 6:02 p.m. Ms. Linda, may we have the roll call, please?
Ms. Flurledge? Here. Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Ms. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Schmidt? Here. Ms. Smith?
Here. Now we'll hear about our tax options.
Okay, you'll remember from the work session that we had, I believe it's on 31st, we reviewed the reports that were filed from KDE. What I've tried to do for tonight is give you a clean one-sheeter that kind of explains everything for you. I did receive confirmation back from Kentucky Department of Education on our request for exoneration on the bourbon barrel, and that was denied. So we are not able to do that through an exoneration. If we wanted to recover that, we would have to do an additional 4% over the course of the next 2 years to get even close to that. So what I've prepared for you is my recommendation, which is simply to move forward as we had discussed at the work session with the 4%. So I've broken that down for an average residential owner. That rate would go from, their bill would go from a current cost of $589.21 to $596.47. For an average farm of $99,306, it would go from $564.06 to $571.01. You can see the sample $100,000, obviously that's pretty straightforward math. Did $568 or $575. And the average value of the commercial property in Grant County is $458,260. So that would go from $2,602.92 to $2,635. If you look below that graph, you'll remember that we were eligible for a 10th in exonerations. So if you add that to the 57.5, that is for a total of 57.6. So if you look at the bottom box, you see that if we went with the compensating rate, our revenue would be almost 8.8 billion. If we adopted the 4% rate, and then I went ahead and included the 10th for the exoneration, that's 9.16 million. And if we adopted the same rate as last year, our revenue would be a little over 9 billion. What I have done on the side there, this information was provided from another superintendent, so I used it. In the box with the green, yellow, and red, and orange, those are performance indicators on the Kentucky School Report Card. So we have broken down kind of the school districts and their tax rates, and that is based on last year. So many of them will be adopting new tax rates just as we are this month. That's just for information purposes, but and then at the top, you can see that our total property assessment this year was 1.59 billion, whereas last year it was 1.5 billion. That indicates a 5.18% increase in assessed property. And then motor vehicle assessment actually went down from 222 million in 23-24 to over 217 million in 24-25, which I'm guessing people didn't buy as many new cars in the past year as the year prior, so that would be the reason for that.
If you would draw out the 1%, I asked for clarification on something.
Well, we're not supposed to do public comment, but I can give you the sheet.
That would be great.
And I'll answer any question that would be.
Sure.
You can keep that sheet.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
Any questions from the board?
It's pretty clear.
So last year, you have adopted the same rate as last year. That was 4%. A different 4% last year, though, too, right?
Yes.
I think we've taken 1% the last couple of years.
The last year's rate was 56.8. I think it's 56.7, and I think there was a 10 exoneration on that as well.
So too, because they're not collected. taxes.
And of course, those, in that box, you see those figures are based on 100% collection rate, which we never have.
That's the 0.1% acceleration that you get.
Correct.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Discussion? Thoughts?
So our compensating rate would actually go down.
So the compensating rate that we talked about at the 31st meeting would take it down to 55.3. As far as the tax rate. If you add exoneration to that, it would be 55.4.
There's no way we can go backwards.
It's still
Well-
less, it's still less.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, if you take the compensating rate, we're losing $100,000 roughly.
But I thought the compensating rate is kept at the same as it was the year before.
That is correct. The compensating rate keeps the revenue the same, but I'm assuming that's based on 100% collection.
It is.
And then the other thing that I'll remind you, and we can call Brian on the phone if we need to, but this is just as information, is I believe that the salary schedules were adopted, because the budget and the salary schedules were presented with the notion of taking the 4%.
That is true. Well, we've been told at every KSBA meeting we've ever been to, if we were not taking the 4%, we were cheating our district out of money. Because that's money you can't ever retrieve back. So every year we haven't taken the 4%, we've lost $100,000 to $200,000, according to what they've always said.
But of course they're gonna say that. I mean, we have the.
No, I mean, that's from other districts, that's not.
No, I'm
from-
saying, of course they're gonna say that because, money. However, as a school board representative, I think we have to think about our school, but we don't also have to think about our constituents. What are they enduring right now? I mean, how have they been hit this year? I mean, it's insanity, the things that, the average person in our community is dealing with. And the economy is pretty rough right now. And I sympathize with all of our taxpayers right now. I mean, they're gonna add a county-wide, looks like, they're gonna add a fire taxing district, and it's gonna be.
The county's killing us, yeah.
Right, I mean, we're gonna be up. I mean,
But the whole problem is, our budget was based on the 4%, because that's what we've done the last couple of years.
Right.
So if we don't take that 4%,
How we gonna pay?
we're not gonna even have
We're not gonna be able to
$900,000 in our,
well, I'm looking at the same rate, that's, 9 million.
what I'm
That's,
saying is, if we don't take that 4%, we won't even have the $900,000 left in our rainy day fund.
Contingency.
how do you figure that?
Because the budget was based off of the 4%.
4%.
I don't think we should have done that. I think we should have waited till we decided what it was gonna be and then looked at that.
Well, you had to do a budget in May, we didn't have any idea where we were gonna be at this day and time. So I'm sure they did it out for 4%, I mean, I can text Brian and ask him, but that's what we've taken the 4% the last at least 2 years, if not 3.
So that means we've always did the highest amount we could possibly do.
No, because
last
it
year.
drops, it comes down often, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's come down the
Yeah,
last few
There's
years.
been,
Even
there's
taking the
been,
4%.
right, these last few years,
That's
we've
the
done
highest
that. Right, these last few years, I remember we've
We've
done that,
taken
but that has
4%.
lowered the tax
Our
rate.
rated fund.
Right.
However, that's lowered it, so that was doable.
So,
But prior to that, we did not rate our constituents over the
No, we
course.
usually took the compensating rate, but when we talk to other districts at KSBA,
I
they've always said that you're losing,
don't
you
know.
lost money every time you take it.
I don't really care what they do.
Well, I mean, I'm saying,
That's just how it
it's
is.
a budget crunch though, when we are looking at our rainy day
And
fund,
you do lose money.
when we're looking at our rainy day fund continually going down, and we're gonna be down to $900,000 in our fund. That to me is very scary.
Do we have a table for that,
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
that says that if we do the current tax rate, it's gonna drop our contingency fund and the proposed and the compensating? I'd like
I'm
to
sure they
see
don't
what
have
that
that
looks
done. I don't know.
I'd like to know what that would look like.
No, I mean, the only table I have is the report from KDE that shows what income revenue would be with compensating rate, right? And then what income would be from the 4% increase. So that those are in that report one that I shared with you.
So if you look at the compensating rate, it's only gives us 700,
For the real estate,
it gives us $777,000 or $7 million.
right. 7 million plus 1 million between the real estate and tangible.
Well, even if we kept the current rate, we're still at 9 million.
That's what I'm
We're
saying,
only,
current
we're
rate.
only losing 161,000.
That's what I was about to say with the current.
But you're losing money. And you're killing yourself down the road. We did
Well,
that.
I have never seen where that has been a big issue. I've never seen that.
No, I don't, no, I agree. I don't see that.
Well, it looks like the difference between the rate, the current rate now to compensate, or the 4% is a difference of $11.43. That's all. That's it. It's $11. That's the only $2 a month.
So if you take the difference, what we would gain if we took the 4% was the $8 million in this paper that we had from the KDE. And if we take the compensating rate, which is the 55.3, we are gonna lose we would be negative $307,000.
If we took the compensating rate.
If we stay at the compensating versus what we would get if we took the 4%, we're gonna get $307,000.
Okay, so why don't we take the same rate as last year, the 56, wait a minute, 56.8 or 0.9, if you read that, 0.0 or 0.1 exoneration.
That's the current rate.
Yes.
You're losing $100,000.
161,000.
We're losing $127,000.
Okay, well, here's the thing, what we're gonna do when they add $100 per thousand for the, fire taxing district.
It would be $4,000.
It's a,
These rates are,
She's saying about the fire district.
right, I can't answer.
that's $1 per every $100 in real estate you have. You're paying them. It's $100.
I know for us, I can explain how this works, and I verified this with Eli. You would take the total valuation divided by 10,000 and multiply it by that number. So if you have $100,000, you divide it by 10,000, right? And then you take that time, which is 100, I believe, you take 56.8 times 100. That's how you get that. So it's every $10,000 for school tax. I can't speak to any other taxing district.
No.
But that's how I came up with those figures.
I think the, public is gonna have a shock when they get their property tax bills this year.
But it won't be all from us because there's other ones that
We are the biggest amount of money that comes out of the pot, that comes out. I mean, we've got the biggest, we've got the biggest
it's
bucket.
always been that way.
It has been. It has
The
been.
increase that they're gonna see isn't gonna be from us, the big increase, it's gonna be from fire
We're
and.
adding to it though. If we're, regardless, you're still adding to it.
But you also get the homestead
You're adding
exemption,
to
you're
it.
gonna add to it, doesn't matter.
Cut in half.
Not everybody gets that.
A
You
lot of
gotta
it.
be over 65 to get that.
You did.
So, poor young person trying to make those payments.
And you also have to remember that you have to give up 39.3 cents for every dollar that we give to get to,
Well, yeah, so,
Right, to the sheriff.
yeah,
Yeah,
three
to your
nickels, 18.3, so, so that's based on the proposed 4%, take 18.3, that if we have the 4% plus exoneration, gives you 57.6, you take the 3 nickels out of that, so that's restricted. You only get, and it was above, it was either at or over 40 cents going to the general fund last year. This year it would be down to 39.3. going to the general fund. So there is a sweet spot. If your property value raises enough, then you can take the 4% and the rate goes down.
Right.
And that's happened in the last 2 years.
That will, ours didn't go up quite enough. So
This time,
correct.
So what does $161,000 buy us?
When
Three
we,
teachers?
when we were looking at salary increases, it's my understanding, and we can call Brian if you want to verify it. But I think it was 4 teachers' salaries would equal a 1% raise. So I think
I thought
that's,
it took $200,000,
so that's roughly about right.
because if we had been able to keep the money that we had to pay back to Williamstown, that would have been extra about 2.5% we could have given, because it's $500,000. I think it took like $207,000 to give a 1% increase.
So it's a little over 0.5%. The only other thing that I would caution you on, just to be aware of, if you adopt the same rate as last year, you're not going to get 900,000 because you're not going to have 100% collection rate.
Correct. But that is across the board, every
Regardless
single
of
one.
what-
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with you. And then you have to take the 2%, 2 or 2.5% collection fee out of the sheriff's department as well. At
That's
every
for
level,
all.
at every
Every
level.
year.
And I'm not,
that happened.
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time.
I'm just giving you information.
And that's regardless of what rate we set it, so.
Since the compensating rate goes down, I would, think that it would be just fine, just keep our current tax rate, which is more than that, 1.5%. Still gives us the $9 million. And we're actually only losing, what, 127,000, you said?
Based on the calculation.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that's going to do, the budget's well lined up.
Well, we had a pretty big budget for the school board, and we ended up sending that, part of that money somewhere else.
We also got a positive on our construction. We did get that report. We did get that positive side where it didn't cost us as much as we had budgeted.
Hey Brian, it's Lisa. I have a question for you. When we did the budget this year, like the recommendations of the budget, was that based on if we took the 4% rate? Okay. We just wanted to make sure that that was correctly, I thought that was what you had said, and Matt had said, but I just wanted to make sure. Gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that then. Okay. Okay, thank you. The budget was based off of that to make the 1% salaries work. It was based off of 4%. I thought I remembered that correctly. That's how they managed, that's how they tried to work the 8% out.
So that means that we absolutely did everything that was humanly possible to get as much money as we could to give raises, correct? Is that what
Oh,
that
gosh,
means?
yeah. That's what he did. He went over it like 15 times.
To keep, what was it, is it 3% in contingency,
I don't know if we're doing that.
under
We're gonna
3%?
be under 3%.
And then the startup of the rollover. That's where that would have been impacted. If it would have done more, it would have,
Less than that.
Yeah.
Current strike rate.
Doesn't work what?
We had done,
a bigger pay raise.
it would have made our starting balance less than what we would start out with.
Okay, so that means that our hands were really tied. We couldn't do anything else.
No.
I mean, you can do something else, you're just not gonna have any money in your backup fund. You ain't gonna have less, and what that's gonna push us below 2%. Which then you put yourself in a line of, whether they wanna come in and have a big talk with us or not.
Well, we are by law required 2%.
Yep.
So what would that be in our budget?
I don't know, we have our budget number right here.
Yeah,
It's 27 million something.
So if you have more growth in the county, then you could take the 4% and you would still go down with the taxes.
if the evaluation increased the right amount.
The way that, okay, so,
Beechwood lost $1.5 million out of their budget because of that.
because they did not take it,
No, because their evaluation.
Oh, their evaluation.
Of their
I
property.
see, I understand.
It's on paper, they look richer.
They looked way richer, I mean, so, yet, they lost $1.5 million.
Well, we're getting, like, the Telstar property is all gonna be houses out there, and they're building, our water went off today. They were doing stuff behind where your little, drugstore was. They have bulldozers back in
They're
there,
building some apartment
they're
buildings.
building apartments back in there. So it looks like we're getting growth in the county. So, it wouldn't reflect this year, but it would reflect maybe for next year. So, and it isn't like it's like a huge, well, I subtracted this too, and it was like $5.
I don't think you got a choice but to take 4%.
We have a choice.
No,
No,
I don't think you
if
do.
you take
I
it
think we
and then
do.
we don't have enough money, then we're gonna be stuck.
I don't like to pay taxes either, but
No, but
you gotta look at it realistic. down the
Well,
road.
here's the thing, I mean, and this is a huge scenario, I mean, this is sounds like crazy talk, but you can tax people right out of their homes and you get nothing. That is a real thing, you can tax people straight out of their homes, and they don't have a home anymore, and they're not paying taxes, and you've lost revenue. That is a thing, you can do it, it can happen.
And if it's only $11, then
Then
it's
why are
only
we,
$11.
so then why on this side, right?
We could go the opposite way.
So I can play either way, it's only $11.
for the taxpayer, but $11 times all the taxpayers is a whole lot of money for us. $11, we're not just losing $11, we're losing the $11 times how many people live here.
I mean,
Right,
people pay-
right there, you see the difference, right there, that's the difference, right there.
So,
So,
I don't know.
but you can tax people out of their homes, out of their businesses, and, I mean, and then, you know what, then everything starts crumbling. And then what do? You still don't have the money that you thought you were gonna get, and instead, you just caused hurt on people, on top of you did not collect the money that you thought you were gonna get.
I would like to be the one public government entity that says, not this year, just because everybody else is raising them so high.
But we're not raising it really.
You're raising, period, it is
It's
raising.
$88 million, well, no, that's
I mean,
the,
you may feel like, oh, I can afford another $50, $60.
That's not, it's
But-
11, isn't it? It's $11 per 100,000, per 100,000.
so multiply that times two. Most
Actually,
people,
Well, no, I'm talking about everything that the person is getting on their bill. They're maybe getting anywhere from $11 up to $200 more based on their whole tax bill, is what I'm talking about, their whole tax bill. You may say, okay, I can afford that, but the person who isn't even sure how they're gonna feed their family, they can't afford that. And we have a whole lot of people in our community who are in that scenario. They don't even know how they're gonna feed their family.
and I would definitely say wow because of the lines that stretch clear out into the highway to go get free lunch or free bags of food.
Oh,
So
yeah.
somebody,
Oh, we give free bags of fruit every month, yeah.
Right.
At St. Williams, yeah.
Right.
I know,
So why are hurting people?
well, a lot of those people are renting the trailer parks too. So-
Well, they still pay taxes, trailer park or not, they're still paying taxes on their trailer. They're still paying the taxes. And if you're a renter, even an apartment renter, you're gonna pay more taxes unless you have a Section 8 housing. You're still paying the taxes of that apartment building because the owner of that property is gonna raise it up because he's not gonna foot that bill. The renter's gonna foot the bill.
So, how about a growth in students? Have we increased our student population, Mr. Moody? No.
You ended at 3153 at the end of the 10th month. You have increased over the summer going into start school Monday.
How many?
We ended 3153 at the end of the 10th month last year. There has been an increase over the summer, so we'll be above 3153.
Yes. And you'll start getting a count on Tuesday. Any student that does not show up on Monday goes in as a no-show, and then on Tuesday, we'll start getting an attendance count for you.
Well, that'll help us if we've got more students.
Gonna necessarily 100% agree on this one, so I make a motion that we take the 4%. I'm not happy about it, but I really feel really nervous if we don't do it. I'm not happy about passing it on to everybody else, but if we don't do it, our contingency even goes lower, and then we could be in big trouble if we have something bad happen. So I'm really nervous about that part.
Don't be surprised if we don't get, less collection than we have in the past.
That happens.
It's a chance we'll have to
It's a
take,
big,
but
it's a big chance, and I think it's probably gonna be reality.
I pay my taxes just like everybody else does. I'm not happy about it to pay more, but I also know I'm looking out for this job that we took on, running the kids that we're representing,
Kids.
and I don't want to let them down either.
Well, the kids' families can't pay the bills if we tax them to death.
Well, I make a motion to have a second.
Chance, second.
still have a question. The 57.5 is really gonna be 57.6, right?
With the exoneration.
It'll be 57.6.
With the exoneration.
Hold on a minute. With the exoneration on the 4%, that is the 57.6, and on the, that's the proposed 4%. Correct. And then it would be 56.9 on the current. So we're talking 7 cents. 0.7. Well, this is kind of out in left field, but the only plus to me is that only Bracken County is below us.
Yep.
And these are all major cities or major townships, whatever. In the past, we've had Gallatin, Pendleton, and all those, and I would be kind of curious where they fall.
Hamilton's on here. Hamilton's 63.2.
Okay. Pendleton,
Williamstown's on there,
88.7.
Walton's on there.
Oh. Dayton. 108.5.
the only thing else that concerns me somewhat is that we are pretty deep into the orange, red, and yellow, and we don't have any premium blue, which is sad to me. So.
But
Okay,
if we don't do this, next year we'll be right back here in the same situation. We can't do nothing for our employees.
No.
Because we
Anything
don't
else
have
doesn't
them.
matter.
Well, this
Not
isn't
just
gonna make
them,
it
but
any
for
better.
everything.
This
I mean,
isn't gonna
we
change
already
that.
decided 160,000, there's only 3 people.
This isn't gonna change that.
Right.
Well, every year you don't take it, it's going to change things down the road with the trajectory of how things are right now. I mean, it took, I'm positive, it's like $207,000 to do 1%. So for every time we keep losing that little bit of stronghold, then we are going backwards. Like I said, our contingency is gonna be down to closer to not having 2% in there.
Now, the compensating rate, which is 55.3, which is really, seems low, but that just keeps it where it was last year.
Last year was 56.8, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we've got
Compensating.
enough property to.
Compensating
Right.
gives you the same money as last year.
So that reflects the 5.18% increase in valuation. So you could go down a little bit to sustain the revenue that you had last year. So that's why the rate would go down. Not making sense?
Well, to me, so as far as operating the district, have the price, I mean, because we have less kids, has that went down?
That's why the 39.3, no, because the price of everything has gone up,
Paper, fuel.
correct? And then remember that only 39.3, so we're getting less money to the general fund because we are property rich and kid poor.
Is it possible to take away one of these nickels, this, the 3 nickels, one and go back to 2?
I don't know that we could do that today.
Right.
They're over my head, if I'm being quite honest, but I can find out an answer. I don't know that it would happen today.
Right.
It would probably be in the next year. I don't even know if we do it for this year because the budgets already have to be passed. So I think it would be
Yeah.
possibly for next year. But then you're gonna lose your bonding potential if you need to do anything else, because that's what your 3 nickels goes for.
Sell some property.
We'll have to get rid of that bus garage.
Exactly. Yes. That would, that would help. Okay.
So I made a motion, Jean was a second. We can just take a vote on it, so. All in favor, raise your hand. All against?
Charlotte, what are you doing? Are you in favor or?
All against, I'm waiting.
She's gonna, all in favor, raise your hand, please.
Yes.
Okay, so Charlotte, okay. And all opposed?
Yay, Debbie.
Sorry.
Okay, approval of, so we're going with the 57.5 plus the 0.1% exoneration, so it'll be 57.6. Will be the rate for next year, for this year. Okay, approval of teleservices assignment with Sunbelt for special educational services. That's a
So
mouthful.
it is, and this is an opportunity for us to meet the needs of special needs students, special ed students through teleservices, and that would be contracted. And Kate, you can jump in at any time. I believe the rate is it 75 an hour?
Correct.
For that. We're at a time in our history where we just don't have enough in-person special ed teachers. So this is kind of what we can do. There would be an IA in the room to offer support for the student, but their minutes would be serviced through this company. They have a teacher for us once we sign the contract.
So like, just in a nutshell, basically what kind of skills are we talking about that they would do with teleservices?
They would give them their specially designed instruction that only, they made a new law in February that only certified special education teachers can administer. So the emergency certified or any other teacher is no longer able to do so. And that would be meeting the legal requirements, and then we would have additional physical support from an IA or a sub, and then they would meet the minutes on their IEP, and they would give additional progress data monitoring. They would write the IEPs and carry a caseload so that the current teachers aren't overcapped.
Can we have any feedback on how well this works? I mean,
It's
do
not
we have
very,
any kind of like, anyone that we've checked out say, hey, you used it, how did it go?
other districts in the state have been forced to do the same thing. It's not ideal whatsoever. It would be much better to have somebody in person, but in order to meet legal requirements, it's what we're going to have to do to make sure that kids get their minutes and their services.
Do we have anything in place to kind of make sure that that like the, what they're proposing, what's the terminology?
Like that they're meeting their job description or?
Well, no, I mean, you said that they're gonna be, working up some of the teaching plans or whatever it is.
Right, yes, I'll be monitoring the IEPs, I do our compliance checks, so I'll be looking at them before their ARCs. And then, for whatever it's worth, there is also a clause in there that if an on-site person is found, we can terminate the contract. So I made sure we put that in there. So if we happen to get someone in person, we will terminate it and hire them. But in the meantime, they will write the paperwork, I will check it, and then they'll also collaborate with the teachers and the IA or sub that is being the hands and feet of the virtual person.
Right.
They were at Campbell County last year.
Yeah. And I get the situation, your hands are kind of tied, you gotta have it, but I was just kind of curious of what kind of stops are in place to make sure that
Fair enough.
the kid doesn't get slighted of what they need.
Right, absolutely. So they'll have a physical person in the room, and then they'll have a virtual person where fortunately, kids are more virtually in tune these days where they're used to programs and things on the computer, and so they've learned from whether it's a program person that's just for lack of a better term, a cartoon, or an actual virtual live person, which this person will be. They will be interacting with the live person. They'll be doing the progress data monitoring. They'll do like flashcards, and they'll do Google forms to get additional information to see how they're doing. And so they'll be in touch with the classrooms as they're working, and they can also let me know concerns or progress going along as well.
How many actual teachers are you missing?
2.5.
3.5?
2.5.
2.5.
I mean, 3 would be great. 2.5 would meet the caseload requirements.
Okay. Are they all at the same school or different?
Sherman, CMZ, and the high school could also benefit from another one.
So CMZ in the high school?
Sherman, CMZ,
Sherman,
and the high
okay.
school, yes, would be, we could use 3, but 2 we can split to meet the requirements.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve this agreement?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
I've got a question.
Okay.
Do we have, is this on our, KSBD? How much money is it cost?
$75 an hour, did you say?
Okay.
$75 an hour. Are they there all day?
Yes, 37.5 hours a week is typically what the,
75, like 37 and a half hours a week?
they are expensive, but they do not draw benefits from us, so that's one good thing. We don't have to pay for their benefits, but they're expensive.
Okay,
All in favor?
okay.
Approval of contract with the Marigis for services?
So this is similar, just a different company?
Correct, but this company has the, a higher plausibility of an on-site person.
So this would be a contracted person through this company
Correct,
that could actually come deliver instruction on site, that they would have to have a signed contract before they would even move forward. And I believe the rate in here is $77 per hour for that person.
And how many do you need from them?
Well, since we need 2.5, there's the virtual person we already have, since it was passed, so that's just one person. So from this company, they're looking for 2. So ideally, hopefully we can find 2 on-site people. There's a lady from Carroll County that they think they have a good lead with, so it's promising to at least have 1. But if we pass the contract, they would be an ongoing company that we can work with to continue to search for on-site people.
So then if we could replace the virtual, so, and tell me if I'm correct, but if we could get an on-site person for $2 more an hour, we could terminate the contract with the virtual.
But still, this company, no benefits, so all they're getting is just $77 per hour.
Correct.
And the high school has an interview tomorrow, is that
Correct, at 8 a.m., yes.
They do all the paperwork,
Correct, thank goodness.
which is big.
8 a.m. tomorrow, we'll all be doing this.
Yes, that's right.
If this works. Okay, do I have a motion to approve this contract with Ameris?
Yes.
Do I have a second? I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor? Okay, moving on to number 7, approval of FMLA leave for a staff member at CMC and 2 at GCMS, Munis Code 7028, Munis Code 6185, and Munis Code 6053.
These are all maternity leaves from respective schools.
Certified or?
Certified.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
They all start on the first day of school.
What's the dates on
Don't know.
majority of them? August to October.
August 12th, October 10th, June 25th to September
So
17th,
one will be coming back in September.
It's throughout the year.
October 7th to January 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Approval of FMLA leave for a staff member at Sherman, Munis number 7199. What is this one for?
It's a maternity leave for part of the year, and the leave will begin in August. I don't have an end date on this one, do you know?
I don't. I can go back and pull it.
Okay, so that's another maternity leave.
This one does.
Gotta approve it.
Yeah.
Do I have a
Motion
motion?
if we don't approve.
You gotta approve it.
Sorry.
Hold that baby, sorry. Do I have a motion to approve this one?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay. Well, we have nothing else on the agenda, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, ma'am.
Charlotte, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Yay.